What's up, guys? Dave here. Another week, huge week, UFC 268. We have Felicia Spencer coming in for her phenomenal pick. Cannot wait, guys. The Mount Rushmore of featherweights, tougher than a bad Wi-Fi connection. Cannot wait. We are 9 days away from her fight, which I just found out she is on the featured fight. The third fight right before the co-main event. A minus 330 favorite going into this fight. I'm so excited for Felicia. Let's bring her in, kind of mention that before we go into a huge UFC 268. Fee, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Definitely looking forward to it. We're on I think 9 days away, so single digit countdown.
We are like one of those Instagram story countdowns. We can do one of those now.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
for sure.
did you know that? Like I just found that out late last night. I wasn't going to text you around 2:30 a.m. That would be, I think, a little bit too far in fight week. But found out that you were one, the featured fight, and then two, we talk a lot of betting lines, especially with our pick and kind of what you do. You coming in as a huge minus 330 favorite. That, to me, when I saw it, it made me, I felt good, felt great going into it. But even that kind of was like, hot chocolate. You know what I mean? Made me feel, my soul felt good when I saw that.
Well, it's nice to feel that support, I guess, like the people believe in my skills. But I always cherish the underdog position, and
Yeah.
definitely, like being in her position, it's like more fuel to her fire. So I'm like, I'm not, I don't really care about being a favorite. But and yeah, at 2:30 this morning, I think I was letting my dog out to go to the bathroom, so it would have been all right.
All right,
She
there you
gets
go.
me like
You
a
opened the door for it. Well,
uh,
so
yeah.
cool. Huge UFC 268 pay-per-view, a humongous pay-per-view. The main card is stacked. A couple, high-end, humongous fights with Usman and Colby, Rose and Wei Lee. You got Frankie on the card. I know he's one of your personal favorites. It's just wild. It's absolute. Gaethje and Chandler. And then I go through like these prelims, and I'm like, man, Felicia Spencer can go with a guy I talk to a lot, Bruno Souza, making his short notice debut for the UFC. Stud. He's a plus 300. Chris Curtis, guy's been around the block for a long time. He's a heavy underdog. Billy Q's a heavy underdog. Raging Al's an underdog. I'm like, I don't know. Felicia can go so many different ways. To me, it's wild. I put it out there that Rose Namajunas and Frankie Edgar in Madison Square Garden are both underdogs. Fee, I don't know. It's crazy. We'll talk about it
I
a lot
know.
afterwards. But hey, we're all here for your pick. So let's go with Felicia Spencer's UFC 268 phenomenal pick.
So yeah, it was tough. I looked deep in, and there was a lot of the names you just mentioned were like people I was looking at. So I ended up actually going with Michael Chandler on this one. He's an underdog, pretty heavy underdog, and I think I was surprised to see that it was such like a big difference between them. 'Cause I thought they would be more evenly, picked. So yeah, just based on the numbers and what I think he can do in the division, I think that's a good one as far as the underdogs go. Yeah, again, all of them. I love Frankie Edgar. Cheeto has also been, I think, a pick of mine, or if not, then I'm also a big fan of Cheeto. So that one was tough for me.
Yeah.
I would have gone with Frankie if he wasn't fighting another one of my favorite fighters. So, and then I looked at Raging Al too. Just like he hasn't fought for a while, and Bobby Green has been looking good against tough opponents, and he's always looked good. He's been on the bad end of some split decisions and blah blah blah. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun card no matter what. And I'm
So
I'm
good.
coming off of a split card where I won one and lost one, so should have stuck to my guns with just one, but it's all right.
Hey, we are the people of the show. We're the Fight Bananas people. We're the community. So we have the permanent black marker in our pocket. We know Glover was your first pick. We talked about it. You surprised us with the parlay. So I'm going to give you the Glover pick. You absolutely nailed it. You and I were so high on Glover. And it's funny because I got something for you about that. So with that being said, to me, you're 3 wins in a row. So with Glover Teixeira winning, I have the same feeling. And maybe you and I can do a fun little bet here. I have the same feeling about Justin Gaethje. To me,
Oh
Justin
yeah.
Gaethje hasn't fought in 16, 18 months. He had kind of a tough loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov. He's been so hungry for this fight. And I feel like, with Usman and Rose, like all that positive momentum and them being champions. I think Gaethje knows now without Khabib in the division, he could be a champ. I think him versus Dustin or him versus Oliveira is a really live fight. I love Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje's great at leg kicks. I think we see Michael Chandler that he can get hit. Like he doesn't mind sometimes running in there and getting hit. And that's up Gaethje's alley. I think it's just a great matchup for Gaethje. So it's funny you picked Chandler because I'm really high on Gaethje. Like he's one of my favorites.
And I love Gaethje too. Yeah. I mean, just with how big of an underdog Chandler is, I think that they're more evenly matched than that, you know.
That I agree with.
Justin does have one of the best, you know, coaches and game plan strategy for sure. He's coming around, like he's really shown a lot of like maturity and growth in his game planning and sticking to it. So, I mean, he's, you know, there's definitely still a good chance with, you know, with that fight that we don't come out on top. But yeah, I think it's going to be a close one. Whoever lands first, whoever lands that lucky shot it's gonna take it. And I know they're both game, so we'll be biting our fingernails through that one.
I know. Okay, so would you want to have a friendly wager on that fight? Are we?
Yeah. What are we talking?
Okay. Something like you know, I definitely want a Phenom headband. Maybe it's like I gotta wear a headband all day and go Instagram live at thephenom.com to get your headbands today. There you go, special plug. We'll do something like that. We'll do something fun. You know, we'll maybe talk it off air, then we'll announce it on Instagram or something of that nature. But just the whole card, like the prelims, Chris Beast Boy Barnett, you know, one of your like, I feel like this is a Felicia Spencer card, and it's so good. Frankie versus Cheeto. Rose Namajunas as an underdog. To me, it's pretty like I looked at that one. That didn't make sense to me as her as the champion, and she's had 3 rematches in her career. You know what her record is in all of her rematch fights?
She's won all of them, right? Or
won them all. She doesn't know how to lose a rematch. Her fight IQ and her coach's fight IQ is so great. I think I love Rose in that spot.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like people just kind of see Wiley as like, oh, it was not like a lucky kick, but it was so early on. We didn't really get to see them like fight, you know, like really go to, you know, strategy for strategy. It was so quick, and you know, people could say Wiley's going to be more ready this time. You know, kind of roles reversed for that situation, and there's not as much for Rose to take away from time in the cage with her opponent, like in the past, you know, to improve on,
that's a good point,
you know, this or that to win the rematch. Like that was based on her coach seeing her in the cage for a period of time with that opponent. Whereas this time she doesn't really have that to go off of. So the improvements are going to be a little more subtle, you know? So if I had to put money, I would probably put money on Wiley just because she's a monster. I mean, I'm high on Rose. This is like a card that's so hard because I like almost everybody on the card, you know, like as a martial artist, as a fighter. So, but yeah, I would also go against you on that one and pick Wiley.
Not even that, Felicia Spencer as an analyst, A+. Look at that. You're bringing up ring time and stuff like that. I saw your interview with James Lynch. Like the UFC needs to hire you soon. I know you're loyal to the Fight Bananas brand, but you're killing it, my friend, killing it.
Yeah, let me know. Give me a call. I'll fill in for Karen Bryan or whoever.
There you go. It was so funny too, because like I love that what you kind of said about Fight Bananas and stuff of that nature. And it's like I feel that same way. I feel like we're the underdog. We're the Felicia Spencer of the MMA media. And I did this funny thing with the Schmo, and you know, he's doing this like kind of Q&As, like asking questions about MMA. And I'm like, dude, I know a lot of knowledge. So, and like you can win legitimate money on it. So I jumped in, and as soon as the Schmo sees me, he goes, wait a second, I know you. Like you're an MMA media. I go, I am a little bit. I am. And it was just so funny. Like he noticed me, and I was like, okay, maybe we're getting somewhere. Maybe we're really doing something, you know? So,
right?
Crazy.
It's the hair. You got to keep the hair getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I think so. No more cutting it. It's really getting out there. I love it. It's not bad.
Todd's been letting his hair grow since like my last fight. It's like super high now.
I saw that picture with him on the roof, and he's like looking up like that. His hair is
Yeah.
like everywhere. He looks like the
Yeah.
Back to the Future scientist. It looks
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly.
How funny is it that we're 9 minutes and 56 seconds? We mentioned how great this fight card is. We mentioned Rose and Wei Lee, and we mentioned Gaethje and Chandler and Cheeto and Frankie. We mentioned all these great prelims, but we haven't mentioned the main event welterweight rematch, which is one of the most underrated fights in UFC history between Usman and Covington. And that's one thing I love about this card. Like the card is so good that sometimes, especially in the fight game, you look at the main event and you hope things underneath it are good. Like next week, UFC Vegas 42, Max Holloway is back versus Yair. It's so awesome. You're in the featured fights, like cool. And you hope that Calvillo and KGB is good. Like you kind of like that. This card's like the opposite. Like 1 through 11 is so amazing and so close and so many fun matchups. Like you forget that Usman's defending the title, who is probably the pound for pound fighter in the world right now. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. It's bananas.
It is. It's completely bananas. Yeah, I like, and this is a tough one. Like I didn't even want to touch the main event with my pick because, you think maybe you should just pick the champ because he's been so, flawless basically. But, Colby looked really good in their first fight too. And he's motivated. Like, he knows that he's experienced a stoppage where he lost, and that kind of like fire, I'm sure, just burns and has been burning inside of him for so long. And I think he's going to come out really motivated to win it. And he landed some good shots and had some good time, some good moments.
Great
so
shots.
It's totally possible that he would win. That would be one I want to say no pick for me.
Definitely Usman's toughest fight for sure. But just kind of put the analyst hat back on, almost like the betting analyst. Would you, if you had an extra $20, $50, $100, do you kind of lean on almost, if you think the fight's so close, Covington's this huge underdog at like plus 270 and 280, getting to 300. Is it worth taking the shot, or is it worth kind of putting $30 on Usman to win 10 because he's that high of a favorite? What would you kind of lean on the betting side?
I mean, for me, if it's that close and I have no idea and I have an extra $20, it's going to be on the underdog because I always believe in that position so much, and like it's such a good story. I'd rather, put my money there and stand to win, a lot more. So just on the money side alone, I would, go put it on Colby, but that doesn't, speak to like the skill set of either. I would, again, as far as like who I really think would win, I have no idea.
Very cool. Well, there we go, guys. Felicia Spencer's phenomenal pick, UFC 268, is Michael Chandler. Fee and I are going to make a little bet. We'll announce it on Instagram Live or something like that, or through our stories. We'll do something fun. I don't know. We'll think of something really cool.
Yeah.
Huge week, huge pay-per-view. And then we're like 3, 4, 5 days away from you flying out there to Vegas. We'll definitely link up some way, somehow, maybe even doing a live again, or maybe even doing what we do, with weigh-ins. It's funny, like you are super busy. You go out there, you do, the posters and a lot of media, but in a weird way, like you do sometimes have idle time because your family's not around or the dogs aren't around or that nature. So we'll figure it out. We'll get the phenomenal pick in there somehow.
Yes, absolutely. I'll definitely look forward to doing it, and I'll have to look up and down my card to make a pick, I guess.
That guy Max Holloway's back in the main event. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super excited to see him. Hopefully I'll be able actually to watch the fight,
There you go. And then Felicia Spencer in the feature spot, minus 330 favorite, 9 days away from Fee being back in the octagon. And the redemption tour begins.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I'll look forward to talking to you guys next week.
Us as well. Thanks, Fee. We'll talk to you soon.